So here we are in our project. We've got some media already. There it is in our media folder. And we're going to start looking at some of our video, selecting parts of it, and putting it into our sequence. And I've already created a sequence here. I've named it Double Identity, and I've made it in the lazy way by dragging and dropping one of the clips onto the new item button at the bottom of the project panel. That's made a sequence that exactly matches my media. And just to clean things up and give myself a bit more space, I'm going to go to the panel menu for the project panel. I'm going to turn off the preview area. This makes it a bit more like the standard layout in PremiereProCS6. A massive part of video editing is simply looking at things and making creative choices about them. So here I've got a clip, I've got a series of items here. I've opened this one up by finding it, where is it now? Draw search, and I've double-clicked to open it up in my source panel. And before I go any further, let's just save a complete version of this so you can compare the before and after. So the monitor controls are very, very straightforward if you've been around any kind of playback system for the last decade. Right down at the bottom here, we've got a play button, and I can press play or stop. And you'll notice that as playback occurs, this yellow marker here, this is the playhead marker, is moving from left to right. Now this bar at the bottom of the monitor represents the entire duration of the clip. And I can tell also how long this clip is by looking at the numbers on the right here. Now these numbers are a measure of time code, and they measure the hours, the minutes, the seconds, and the frames. In this case, the measurement is the duration of the clip. When I make a smaller selection of the clip later, it's going to show me the length of my selection. But since I don't have a selection yet, this is telling me the total duration. If I open another clip, you can see this one's 29 seconds in 4 frames. My draw search is 16 seconds and 8 frames. Over on the far left here, I've got some orange numbers with an underline. And these are in the same format, but these are the timecode that was originally recorded when this file was created. I'm guessing, looking at this, it was recorded on a videotape camera. And it's quite common for professional camera operators to begin the timecode on an hour that represents the number of the tape. In this case, for example, this would be tape 1. And then, generally speaking, you're going to record less than an hour of content, which means that no two time codes will ever match. If you begin the next one on tape 2 and that begins on hour 2, again, you're just never going to cross over the time code. Not too important really at this stage, but it does mean that this display is showing you the precise position on the tape, if you like, of this particular frame. And as I play, you'll notice that these numbers change. So I'm getting, in fact, I can drag this around as well, and I'm getting the precise timecode position here at the bottom left of the panel. Coincidentally, and a lot of new users do this, it's not necessary for you to grab the playhead and move it to another place. You can just click wherever you want it to go, and it'll jump to whichever frame you click on. And notice as well that I'm very precisely clicking inside this long rectangle with the little markings along the bottom. I'm not clicking anywhere else to have this jump to that time. Now there are some other pretty simple controls here on this monitor. At the bottom here, I've got go to a frame before. It's pretty subtle on this movement. Let's find something where there's a bit more action. There we go. That's 1 frame forwards, 1 frame backwards. And you'll notice that I'm getting a yellow tooltip to show me what the button's going to do. I can also use the J, K, and L keys on my keyboard. And if you've got a color-coded keyboard, you're going to see these marked up right away. And if I've got an external jog shuttle controller, for example, I can use that. Now, if I press J, I'm going to play backwards at normal speed. There we go. K pauses the video, and L plays the video forwards. If you press L or J multiple times, the playback goes at multiple speeds. So here's 1 speed, double press, triple, 4 times. I think it goes up to something like 8 or 16 times maximum speed. This is such a useful feature that when I'm playing back video, I'd say at least half the time, the first thing I'm going to do to play is not to press the space bar, which is the keyboard shortcut for play. You can see in brackets there, I've got the name of the keyboard shortcut. Space bar is play and stop. I tend not to use that. Instead, I tend to use J, K, and L. It's just very intuitive once you get used to using it. You can also use the left and right cursor keys, the left and right arrow keys on your keyboard. Again, that's 1 frame left and 1 frame right. You'll notice at the bottom right-hand corner of the panel here, there's a little plus symbol. And if I click on that, I'm going to get a series of additional buttons that I can add to the interface if I want them. Several of these are already part of the interface, and there's a question mark about whether you need the others or not. The main ones are definitely already in place, but you might find the play into out useful when you get onto making selections of your clips. You might find the safe margins useful. In fact, let's drag that down now and add this to the list. And you notice that I can create a second row of buttons if I want. There's also an option here to loop play, which means that when the clip finishes playing, let's just put that down there, it's going to go back to the beginning again and start playing. So this is a spacer as well. You can put gaps in if you like these ones here. Okay, I'm going to click OK, and that brings me back to where I was. And I just want to explain briefly this safe action and safe title action zone, the safe margins as they're called. If I click this on, I'm going to get boxes inside my picture. And these are designed to show you the parts of the picture that might be cropped by a TV. The first box here is a 10% mark, and this is showing you the normal part of the picture that you'd expect to be cropped. The second part is designed to show you, it's a 20% difference, and it's designed to show you the part that will definitely be in shot even on a really wonky TV. And this means that as long as you have your titles, your graphics and your text inside this inner box, you can be pretty certain that all of the graphics will be visible on even a really badly misaligned television. You might well want to toggle these off and on, which is why there's a button to do it. And in fact, if you look under the preferences, no, scratch that, let's cancel out. It's under the project settings. There we go. You'll see options here to choose how big the safe action and action safe areas for titles should be. Now, what you've just seen me do is a very easy mistake to make, because this action and title safe areas option is the sort of thing you'd expect to be inside the user preferences. But the user preferences apply to every project that you use on this machine, every project that you work with. The project settings are, as you might guess, specific to the project in question, and it is more relevant to set these areas on a project-by-project basis. I just draw that to your attention because there are different kinds of setting inside of Premiere Pro, and if you find yourself looking, as I was there, in the wrong place, don't forget that there are other options available that might have exactly what you're looking for. Specifically, that's going to be the settings, sequence settings, the project settings, either that or the keyboard shortcuts, but also the panel menus themselves. For each panel, they often have options that are unique to that panel. So have a look in those panel menus as well. My last little tip for playing back video inside of Premiere Pro is a simple one. If you switch the bin to a thumbnail view, and I'm just going to hold down the control key here to double click and open the bin inside my project. Now you can hover scrub through these very, very quickly to get a sense of what's in the shot. This is a really useful feature. And you can do the same kind of thing inside the source panel. In fact, it's a habit of mine as an editor to go through every clip exactly like this at a good steady speed right the way through, and just get a sense of what's in the shot. It might seem like things are moving too fast for you to be able to know what's going on, and that's kind of true, but you definitely get a kind of a stream of consciousness sense of what's happening in the media by just dragging through at a steady rate from one end to the other. Now, with the newly designed bin, you can make your thumbnails really big and then do a very, very similar thing right there, but the picture's not quite as big. And you can always, of course, with the player monitor, press that tilde key, backwards apostrophe to go full screen and just drag through very quickly and get a nice large image. Of course, if you've got an external monitor connected, even better, but somehow just turning your head to look at an external monitor is not quite as instant and satisfying as dragging through on the computer screen. So again, you're going to double click to open things up, drag through, press play, go backwards and forwards one frame if you need to, or use the J, K, and L keys on your keyboard to play back. It's exactly the same controls in the program monitor. The difference is that your program monitor is showing you the contents of your edit.